I give up on everything and prepare to fly to another country, while my girlfriend, feigning amnesia, still coldly warns me. Please, pack your things. Move out of our house as soon as possible. My boyfriend is about to move here. He'll be jealous if he sees you. I didn't even raise my head, just said softly, okay. He didn't suspect a thing and continued acting. And, please, don't pretend to be my boyfriend anymore. My boyfriend, Sinian, will be sad. I crouched down a little, and obediently nodded. I didn't explain to him that this time I was changing my first and last name to Bleed Abroad. I wouldn't have any attachment to him anymore. Anyway, he likes to act, so I'll go along with him to the end. After all, he also wants to get rid of me. So let's never meet again. After changing my name and leaving, it was already dark. I stopped the car and took out my cell phone to look for a ticket. Although the name change procedure had been submitted, it still takes a month to review, so I booked the ticket to Volber directly for the 1st of next month and then replied to the bleeding organization with the news of the offer's acceptance. Miss Sumna Suttons. That night, I slept more soundly than I had in the last month. The next morning, I got up, had breakfast, and then cleaned up everything related to Sumengyel. The gifts he gave me, the couple's clothes we bought together, the love letters from our student days. Everything was thrown in the trash can. I was busy when a global, limited edition sports car suddenly stopped on the side of the road. I turned at the sound and saw Sumengyel embracing a man, brazenly getting out of the car, even though he saw me. He didn't flinch. I know the reason he didn't hesitate is because he was sure I would forgive him for what he did during his period of amnesia. From the beginning, Sumengyel didn't acknowledge my identity as his boyfriend and asked someone to remove my things from the village. I thought I was going to end up on the streets. As a result, the owner of the house next door suddenly contacted me and said he was going abroad and rented it to me for the lowest price. At the time, I thought I had been lucky. What kind of play am I going to perform again? I turned around and picked up the last box. Sumangod, who was passing, observing those things out just. I glanced at him and said in a weak tone, "Don't you have amnesia? How do you remember these things?" Only then did Sumengyel realize he had let it slip. He quickly adjusted his expression, pretended not to care, and casually asked, "How could I remember? The past is the past, the present is the present. I only like Seminya now. After all, when I had a car accident, in Nanzu only, he took care of me." Car accident? Even amnesia is being acted out. I just need to hide from her man. A pair of peach blossom eyes were filled with satisfaction. A facial expression I'd never seen before. Most likely, during this time, Sumengyel found a bedmate who offered the greatest satisfaction, so he brought him back with great enthusiasm. I don't want to talk nonsense with him anymore. I just gave him a kiss and turned to enter the villa. Seeing my back without even turning his head, Sumengyel's eyelids twitched and botched. He brought someone back. Shouldn't you be making a scene and being jealous? Why are you so calm? Sumengyel sensed something was wrong but didn't chase after him to explain. He watched me disappear behind the door. 8 o'clock. The doorbell rang suddenly, the packing bag in my hand. I stood up to open the door. It was the man Sumengyel had brought back a little while ago. He raised his hand and waved. Although his face was smiling, it didn't reach his eyes. "Hello, my name is Lucinian. I will be staying at my girlfriend's house during this period. Since we are neighbors, it would be convenient to add a contact. It's not necessary." I rejected it without thinking. I turned to leave. Lucinian grabbed my phone from my hand, quickly opened the chat and added a friend. Seeing my gloomy face, Idevi, he returned the phone with a frivolous smile. "Just making friends, banakams. We'll have to meet frequently in the future, eh? By the way, I was once pale." The hand that took the phone trembled slightly. No, but Lucinian refused to give up. The ridicule in his eyes was undisguised. "Is that right? I asked the wrong person. Mengyel doesn't want you anymore. How could you?" I know he's deliberately provoking. I don't want to pay attention to him. I opened the gate and was about to close it. Lucinian grabbed the doorknob. He took the opportunity to fall to the ground. His eyes suddenly turned red. "Brother, I know you don't want to see me, but I only came to get some seasoning. I just want to make dinner for Mengyel. If you don't want to see me, don't see me. But why did you have to attack me?" Looking at Lucinian suddenly, in an emergency, my heart skipped a beat. I hadn't even reacted when Suengyil entered. She rushed to the steps, helped him up and stood beside him looking at me coldly. Her tone was full of sarcasm. Sin doesn't have a grudge against you. Why are you causing trouble for no reason? He's my boyfriend now. Please, be polite to him. After saying those words, she didn't even look at my expression, helping him leave directly. The presumptuous words fell on my ears. They made me unconsciously clench my fists. I stared at her back disappearing into the color of the wood. On the expressionless face of the steps, the door slammed shut with a bang. It was midnight. The cell phone on the bedside table rang, waking me. I unconsciously pressed the answer button. The next second, the screen changed, looking at the shaky camera, revealing those indecent scenes. I woke up completely, realizing what the person on the other end of the line was doing. I froze like a statue, finally unable to bear it any longer, and pressed the hang-up button. Those sleepy eyes, at that moment, were already full of blood vessels. In the following days, I locked myself in my house until the day of my best friend's wedding, when I finally got ready and went out. Arriving at the hotel, I took advantage of the fact that the wedding hadn't started yet and delivered the gifts I had prepared in advance. We exchanged a few words. My friend took my hand and revealed that he had sent an invitation to Sumangyal. She promised to come, wait a little while and go get her. Talk to her more. Maybe she'll remember the scene of your marriage proposal and recover her memory. I was silent for a moment. I shook my head and, watching the smile slowly disappear from my face, a trace of concern flashed in my friend's eyes. What's wrong? You don't want to insist anymore. I was about to reply. When I saw Sumenjiao bringing Lucan appearing in the doorway, my friend followed the gaze. Seeing the two arm in arm, his face turned red with anger, and he rushed to Dawing to teach them a lesson. The best man came and said, "The wedding will begin soon." After much persuasion, I finally convinced my friend to go up to the stage, hearing the wedding march playing in the aisle. I took a deep breath. Returning to the hall, the guests were already seated. Only the place next to Sumengyal was still empty. I hesitated for a moment, but still went to sit down. During the wedding reception, Lucy Nian persisted in bothering Suenjiao, requesting that she get him some food. She refused and didn't answer. He was serving wine, blowing on the soup, extremely attentive. Even if he fed her the dessert he had eaten, she ate, without hesitation. Looking at the two so intimate, I looked away, staring at the center of the stage. I couldn't eat, I didn't touch the chopsticks. My friend's mother served me some dishes, asking me to eat more. I didn't want to disappoint her aunt. I suddenly grabbed a Sumenjial dumpling, and upon seeing it, she reached out and took the dumpling. Are you crazy? This one is filled with seafood. You're allergic and can't eat it. Looking at the lonely dumpling on the floor, rolling a few times, I raised my head and looked intently at her. Sumengyai then realized what had happened. She explained 2 sentences in a very artificial way. The maid at home never buys seafood. She turned and hugged him. Lucan leaned close to her ear. It's unknown what he said. Sumenjiao dropped what she was holding and left the place with him. I didn't care where they went until the bouquet toss ceremony was over. I finally got up and went to the bathroom. As soon as I reached the door, I heard a strange sound coming from inside. I stopped, held my breath, and remained quiet for a few minutes. The innermost stall emitted a soft, unsettling voice. Why did you come so quickly to the wedding? Are you wearing that kind of outfit? Don't you like it? After asking, a kiss was heard. Of course I like it. I raised my head, looking at the plaque above. My index finger dug deep into my palm. Continuous footsteps came from the hallway, and the bathroom fell silent again. I looked at the closed cubicle one last time, my eyes red. I turned and left. After the wedding ended, after saying goodbye to my friend, I went down the stairs. As soon as I got off the elevator, I saw the sports car parked on the road, which was very familiar. I pretended not to see it. I was about to hail a taxi when I was grabbed by Lucinian, who appeared out of nowhere. Menkial's company has something to take care of and left. They left the car for you. We live nearby. Let me take you. I refused without thinking, but Lucinian didn't care. She pushed me into the driver's seat, locked the door, and stepped on the gas pedal very fast. I could only fasten my seatbelt, and all the way there, Lucinian used the pretext of being the head of the lodging to openly brag secretly. You already knew that Mengial was pretending to be Nesia, wasn't he? Why don't you dare mention her name? My eyes narrowed for a moment, with a cold expression. It's none of your business. Since it's none of my business, I also openly want to be by Mengi's side, to be called her fiancé, even though she doesn't want that now. But you know, she really likes my body, and sooner or later she'll be moved. Do you believe me? I simply ignored him, turning to admire the scenery through the window. Seeing that I didn't respond, Lucinian became irritated and made a few more provocations. I simply closed my eyes, pretending she didn't exist. This attitude made Lucy very resentful. She looked at the intersection ahead, and with a sudden decision, turned the steering wheel sharply. Under the strong tremor, my whole body leaned forward uncontrollably. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw fragments of glass coming towards me. Instinctively, I raised my hand, no longer passionately. Bright red blood dripped from my arm. I knocked on the side door. An intense pain shot from the top of my head. Everything went dark and I immediately fainted. I don't know how much time passed. A loud sound rang in my ears. The hands of the two patients. I need to operate immediately, but currently, the hospital only has one surgeon. Patients who don't receive immediate treatment may be at risk of disability. Senora Su, who do you want to save? Hearing this, I forced myself to wake up and squeeze two sentences from my throat. Sumengil, I still want to play the piano. My hands can't have any problems. That small, warm hand that had originally held my left hand silently let go after hearing the voice the moment I opened my eyes. I caught the fleeting panic on Sumengal's face. She placed her hand on Lucan's shoulder and said with all her might, "Save Simeon first." I don't know how much time passed. I, who had been falling incessantly into darkness, finally regained some consciousness, possibly due to the effect of the anesthesia. I couldn't open my eyes temporarily. I could only hear some sounds around me. It was a conversation between two people. The voice was very familiar. "Sister Mengel, you've made such a mess. How will you deal with this when the time comes? Xian considers her hands more important than her life, and you saved Lucinian first. Do you want to kill her?" How could I want to kill Zan? It turns out she woke up. If I agreed to save her first, the fact that I was faking amnesia wouldn't be revealed. There are still 20-odd days left. I just want to play a little longer. I won't let anything happen to Xian. This is nothing. Didn't you hear the doctor say, if the surgery is delayed a few more minutes, Xian's hands will be completely useless. If she wakes up and knows there will be no more chance between you and her, well then, The person holding my hand seemed very nervous upon hearing this, and their palms were sweating. A few minutes later, they kissed my forehead in a sulky tone. She won't know. I've already arranged everything. In 23 days, the doctor will announce that I've regained my memory. When the time comes, everything will be as before. The doctor. Someone left the room. Another was still guarding outside my room, murmuring softly, "Zan, our wedding is coming up. I've already set the date. The day I regain my memory. You can see it after we register. I'll take you to see the Northern Lights. How about that? Do you remember the wish you made on a shooting star on our 3rd anniversary? When you said you wanted to be with me forever, I was so happy. I want to be with you too." The anesthesia was slowly wearing off. I remembered that chatty person. Who is it? It's my fiancée, Jelake. She seems to worry a lot about me every half hour. She calls the doctor to check on me and also attentively feeds me water and covers me with the blanket. She watched over me without leaving my side for a moment until I woke up completely. All the kindness that was being showered on me receded like a tide, seeing her avoid me. As the body left the room, a trace of sarcasm flashed in my eyes. I picked up my phone and checked the time. Then I realized I'd been unconscious for 3 days, and the messages were still just advertisements and recharge notifications. I need to see myself falling, hoping the name change procedures will be completed soon. Sayada. After a long time, Suenjiao didn't show up, but Lucini sent many messages every day, with various provocations and photos showing their love. I didn't open any and set the Do Not Disturb mode directly. A few days later, I was discharged from the hospital. As soon as I arrived at the hospital door, I happened to meet 11 older girls from college who had already flirted with me. After a few words of greeting while I chatted cheerfully, Sumangangel, who I don't know where she appeared from, pulled me forcefully. Her face was so grim it could drip tears. Looking at me with shadows in her eyes, with a tone full of jealousy. "Who allowed you to get so close to her? I pulled my hand away and looked at her with a hint of sarcasm. Didn't you lose your memory? You didn't admit I was your boyfriend. I like to talk to whoever I want. It shouldn't be any of your business, right? After saying that, I didn't care about her reaction. I stopped the car and drove away, leaving Sumenjial speechless, just watching me leave. After resting for a while, I slowly recovered. In my free time, I took a cursory look around. I saw that Landalian had already calculated the garden. Then, I found out that the value was relatively large. Coincidentally, a former client introduced me to a great deal. I had nothing to do, so I accepted. When I arrived at the location, I discovered it was a birthday party. When I saw Sumengyel holding hands with Lucinian, I was immediately stunned and a bad feeling arose in my heart. But the deposit had already been paid, so I could only suppress those strange feelings and grab my camera. Upon seeing me, Lucy immediately straightened her tie and greeted me with a smile. Please take photos from a low angle and adjust the brightness a little lower. When I go on stage later, move the camera a little closer. I took hundreds of photos, but Lucini still wasn't satisfied. He insisted I retake them. Patiently, I redid 3 or 4 versions, and my injured wrist started to ache again. Lucini looked at it with a mocking expression. How did you take such a shot? Great photographer. It seems you're not as good as they say. Hey, use the first version. At least some are pleasing to the eye. The people around were crowding around. Leg, thin. I rubbed my numb knee and stood up. At that moment, Lucy was about to unleash her venom. She walked over to Sumeng's side. Then he turned and beckoned to me, ordering, "Come on, take some pictures of us, my girlfriend, and me, hi." My eyes locked, but soon returned to their coldness. I raised the camera, pointed the lens at the 2 people, and pressed the shutter button. Lucy gave me numerous gasps, and finally lowered her head and kissed Sumengel. For a moment, everyone screamed and recorded videos. Seeing these emotions, Sumengal's body stiffened imposingly. She relaxed lazily, as he was at Lucinian's waist. He looked at me a little nervously, but I didn't react. Looking at the photos on the camera, seemingly not caring at all. 11 o'clock. This 4-hour party finally came to an end. I put the camera back in my bag and grabbed tissues to clean up the cake that Lucinian had accidentally spilled on my clothes in the empty hall. Suddenly I heard footsteps. When I raised my head, I saw the messenger, Lucinian, walking directly towards me. You worked hard tonight, Ed. Are you short of money, eh? I still have a set of photos I'd like you to take for me, Dak. The price can be doubled. Do you accept? Doubled? I hesitated for a moment, but still agreed. Lucia took me directly to the hotel upstairs and first booked the angle and content of the filming. I was setting up the video camera in the corner when someone knocked on the door. Lucy didn't rush to open the door but gave me a meaningful smile. Mules. It'll start soon. Remember to film everything. Saying this, she closed the curtains and covered the corner, leaving only a slit for the camera. I huddled in the narrow space, listening to increasingly close-up sounds. Breathing sounds. Under the ambiguous light, Lucinian pulled a woman's tie and embraced her. The bodies of 2 people pressed together, looking at the lens. Sumengyal, who is kissing Lucinian, the man who shares the room, held my hand on the support. Suddenly he squeezed. He didn't know I was in the room. The desire in the room was becoming increasingly intense. Listening to those continuous sounds, I was already blinded. Even breathing became difficult. Time became incredibly slow. At this moment, 3 a.m., movement in the room stopped. The sound of the bathroom water started and I pulled the blanket. Dragging my numb legs, I got out and stepped on the pajamas scattered on the floor, placing the memory card on the table. I opened the door. The streets were deserted in the early morning and I wandered aimlessly. I don't know how long I walked. I raised my lifeless eyes and realized that, without noticing, I had returned to my dream high school. Sealed and avoided memories resurfaced. Suingjiao pulling me to complete the 1,000-meter track in the courtyard. The small auditorium filled with roses for my birthday, the flag-raising platform where she declared her love for me in front of the whole school. Everything was exactly as it had been. But I, who was in the middle of it all, had very different feelings. I walked to the classroom building, found the principal, who was arriving for work because of Suengil's ostentatious search in the past. Almost all the teachers recognized me. The principal smiled and greeted me. Guan, why did you suddenly return to school? Where's Suengil? Has she been around for a while? I heard you 2 were engaged. Did you come to deliver wedding invitations? I forced a smile and changed the subject. It's been a long time since I've been back. I only stopped by to see the teachers. We walked and talked, reminiscing about many things from the past, full of emotion. Before saying goodbye, the principal seemed to remember something and took a yellow diary from his office cabinet and handed it to me. This was during study class when I was checking the discipline and took sumanggals. This you are about to have a good event. I'm returning it is to you. I was stunned. I took it and thanked the teacher. On the way back, I opened the diary and saw Sumangal's clumsy handwriting. Every page featured the exact same title, recording all the feelings a girl experienced while pursuing a boy. As I looked, my nose began to sting and the tears wouldn't stop falling, drop by drop by drop. Even nostalgia for the past is a form of farewell. When the car stopped at the village gate, I had already calmed my confused emotions. I closed the diary, opened the kotchoran, and met Sumangal's gaze as she turned yawned. Looking at the kiss marks on her arm, I remembered what had happened the previous night. As soon as she looked away, Suanjiao noticed I seemed to have been crying and frowned. Just as she was thinking about how to ask without leaving a trace, Luchininian, who was hugging her, also saw my red eyes and started laughing secretly. Thank you for your work yesterday. I've already deposited the money. I'm very satisfied with what was filmed. You should be satisfied, too. Right. Hearing her suggestive tone, Suangishel's heart raced in panic. Satisfied with what? The birthday photos from the first half of the night? What else could it be? The second half of the night? Seeing her loose lips, Suanxi's heart leaped and she quickly covered her mouth oath. I ignored her and turned to go inside. As I passed the trash can, I threw the diary inside. Those youthful years, filled with love and sincerity, were completely buried. Married. Before leaving, I texted the landlord saying I wouldn't be renewing the lease. The landlord kept asking why I wanted to move. I made up some excuse. The landlord said they could give me a few extra days and let me stay until the middle of next month. I knew it was someone secretly behind the scenes. They wanted me to stay 2 more days, so I pretended to regain my memory so they could take me home. I didn't reveal their plans and agreed. 3 days before leaving, I received a phone call from an unknown number. Señorita Gu, hello. I'm the manager of the Hilton Hotel. The hotel where you held your engagement party before is the following one. Your fiancé has booked our main ballroom and said she'll be holding a wedding banquet here the day after tomorrow, but we haven't been able to contact her recently and some details need to be arranged at a goodest. Are you free to come and talk? I wanted to refuse, but when I heard the date of the day after tomorrow, my eyelashes fluttered slightly. January 1st is the day Sumengil decided to regain her memory, and also the day I prepared to leave. I agreed and took a taxi there. As soon as I entered the hall and saw the decorations, I fell silent. From the flowers to the decor, everything was exactly the same as when Sumengil proposed to me. Standing there, I couldn't distinguish reality from memory. The manager who came in with me was about to introduce me when he received a phone call and left temporarily. I walked alone to the second floor, looking down, and couldn't help but remember the scene where Sumenxiao embraced me with flowers, solemnly promising that he would only love me forever. At that time, I was full of expectations for the approaching married life. Who would have thought that just 3 months later, everything would have dissipated and turned into nothing? While I was feeling this, the door was suddenly opened and Sumengxiao in a long dress entered, embracing a bouquet of flowers, followed by Lucan witnessing the dreamlike scene before him. In a dark place. The day after tomorrow, I intend to ask some friends to bring Zan here. At that point, I can feign a panicked expression and, naturally, recall the past. I brought you here today. It's for a rehearsal. You play Zan to see if there are any flaws. As she spoke, she pushed Lucan to the center of the stage and began to act. The enormous column completely blocked me. I silently observed the sincere performance of the two. With a glint in my eyes, I have to admit, Su Mingxiao really has a lot of talent for acting. If I didn't know any of this, if I came here in 3 days, I might even be fooled by her. Fortunately, I haven't reached that point yet. Forgiveness has come to the scene below. Lucan lowered his head and held Gel Sumac. The originally affectionate atmosphere, from this moment on, slowly turned into 2 cold parts. Lucia hugged Sumenchiel and said softly, "If, after you go back to her, you feel it doesn't work, you can contact me anytime." Hearing this, a glimmer of clarity shone in Sumengel's eyes with absolute certainty in her tone. "There will be no later. In 3 days, everything will be finished. I will only belong to Xian, won't I? Don't be blind." Hiding the ridiculousness deep in her eyes, she gave him a heartfelt answer. "What a pity, Sumenjiao, I don't want you anymore." 2 days before leaving, I received the news that the procedures to change my name were already completed. I went out and picked up my new identity card, the changed name, and my passport. It was late afternoon when I arrived home, and when I looked up, I saw the waiting at the door. It seemed to be waiting for me to come home. It was late afternoon when I arrived home, and when I looked up, I saw the waiting at the door. It seemed to be waiting for me to come back, seeing the uncertainty shining in my eyes with hesitation in my tone. "Where did you go?" I opened the door. The tone was very calm. "Did something happen?" Sumenjiao put her hands in her pockets, feigning nonchalance. "Nothing. The weather forecast says there will be a storm tomorrow. If nothing happens, don't go out." Obviously afraid of not finding me tomorrow. But she came up with such a weak reason. I wanted to laugh, but I managed to hold it in. I nodded. I understood, seeing my distracted expression. Sumenjiao felt inexplicably a little disturbed in her heart. She always felt that my recent state was very strange, but what exactly was wrong, she couldn't say. On the day of departure, I woke up very early. Seeing the 2 p.m. plane, I threw out everything I had left, seeing the emptiness in the room where only 2 suitcases remained. I took a deep breath. At 11 o'clock, the doorbell rang softly. I opened the door, opening a small crack, and discovered that it was Sumengel's best friends, Gia. "We know you've been physically and mentally exhausted because of Manjiel's illness these days, and you can't seem to cheer yourself up. The doctor said a few days ago that she has been taking her medication for a while and that her condition has been slowly improving. Don't worry. Yes. We also hope that Sister Mal recovers her memory as soon as possible. Everyone will be waiting to attend your wedding. Today is your 7th dating anniversary. We have prepared some small surprises." I listened to them calmly. Reciting the lines that had been prepared beforehand, I asked, very appropriately, "What surprises?" "Follow us and you'll find out." Before I could answer, one of their cell phones rang. A minute later, the people changed their tone. "Kuku-san, has something happened, ma? The surprise can wait a little while. You'll be busy first." After saying this, the people left in the rain. After watching the car disappear into the curtain of rain, I turned and pushed the luggage down. 10 minutes later, a taxi pulled up to the door. The driver helped me carry the luggage first. I left the villa. As I passed the car parked next to the door, I heard some strange sounds coming from inside. I turned to see the sports car shaking more and more violently. My heart tightened, and I quickened my pace to the front passenger seat. 5 p.m. The rain that had fallen all day finally stopped. Sumenjiao, with heavy makeup, opened the car door and waved out. It was Lucan, who was still pressing the buttons, got out of the car. She pouted, covered her eyes, and leaned in for a kiss. Looking at the time on the car screen, Sumenjiao turned her head to avoid her. Scattered blue raindrops. "Stop, sister, I'm just Sumenjiao interrupted her words with a threatening tone that wouldn't allow her to be offended. "From the beginning I told you, we were just playing a 2-month game, Now the time is up. You should leave." Seeing her coldness, Lucinian could only reluctantly get out of the car. Sunil opened the window, stepped on the accelerator, and the love-struck couple in the car were carried away by the wind. She looked into the distance, gradually shortening the navigation, and revealed a slight smile. After the car stopped outside the Hilton Hotel, she didn't go to the front lobby, but went straight upstairs. After an afternoon of playing around, her clothes were all wrinkled. She needed to take care of that. Luckily, first, she had to call some friends and give some instructions and words. The people on the other end, in unison, chuckled softly. "Sister Mengel, don't worry. Kuko-san promised he'd come in the morning. We're already on our way to pick her up." "Yes. You'd better think about how you're going to perform later. This difficulty is no small one. We've been performing for 2 months and no mistakes have appeared. What are you afraid of? Jin is deeply in love with Sister Minjiao and definitely won't suspect anything." Sumenginyal was too lazy to listen to their jokes. She laughed and reprimanded a few words, casually tossing her cell phone onto the sofa. Half an hour later, she came out drying her hair and heard the incessant ringing of her cell phone. Opening the screen, and seeing more than 20 missed calls, her heart suddenly raced. After forcefully suppressing those panicked emotions, she pressed the answer button, calling repeatedly, Dai? What happened? Brother Mengol. We knocked on the villa door for more than 10 minutes and Gia didn't come out. The messages aren't being answered and the phone is also switched off. What should we do? We can't get in touch. Sumengal's eyebrows furrowed. Her good mood was ruined. Maybe she's sleeping. You go to my house and get the spare key from my father to go in and take a look. Some friends agreed. Sumengal massaged her temples as she changed into clean clothes, while replaying the evening's events in her mind. After getting ready, she gathered her things and went downstairs. The hotel manager saw her and greeted her eagerly. Mrs. Su, is there anything you're dissatisfied with about the room's decor? We'll adjust it immediately. Sumengal glanced quickly and nodded with satisfaction. Not bad. Receiving the acknowledgement, the hotel manager smiled even more brightly. Mrs. Su, it's good that you're satisfied. In fact, to achieve a one-to-one restoration, we should also thank your fiancé. A few days ago, there were some decorations. I couldn't remember the location, so I invited her to come and make the final decision. Hearing the words fiancé, the expression on Sumengal's face froze. She stared intently at the person in front of her, anger palpable. Who allowed you to contact her? This is the surprise prepared for her, don't you know? Seeing her anger, the manager was so startled he couldn't speak fluently. I couldn't contact you, so I invited you to come and help. You also didn't tell me to keep it a secret. I thought you two were engaged. And that's when more than a month of planning went to waste. Suenjiao was red with rage. She clenched her fist tightly. Right on the verge of losing her temper, her friend called again. Mingyao, something bad has happened. Guxian has disappeared. Remembering what the manager had just said, Suenjiao felt her mind go blank. Go look for her. Hearing her reprimand, the people on the phone were almost crying. It's not that we're not looking, it's that everything in the villa has been removed. We checked the surveillance. She threw things away in the morning and left with her suitcase. Noon. We don't know where he went. Each word sounded like thunder in Sumal's ears. She was shocked on the spot. Noon. Taxi. All those memories she had ignored resurfaced. The manager, who didn't understand what was happening, was still explaining incessantly. In fact, even if I didn't call Gusan, it seems he knew too. That day he asked me many things and, before leaving, gave me a box, asking me to deliver it to you tonight. As he spoke, the manager handed over the thing. Looking at the ring box he handed with both hands, Sumenjiao felt like she was going to suffocate. Trembling, she opened it, and immediately saw the dazzling engagement ring. Next to it was a pink button. She stared at the button. Suddenly, she remembered a complaint from Lucinian 3 days ago, when leaving the hotel. Next time, be more restrained out there. You ripped the button off my dress. About the bill. 3 days ago, Ginan came at 2 p.m. and only left at 5 p.m. Upon hearing this response, Sumengiel was on the verge of collapse. She clutched the ring, as if it were sealed, and ran to the car, ignoring more than 10 red lights in a frantic race. In 10 minutes, he was back home. The mansion next door was all lit up. He stormed in. Only a few rules remained to decide 3 feet. They searched the entire house, but certainly found nothing related to Gyakiani and Msutane. Upon seeing him arrive, everyone immediately surrounded him. Sister Menjiao, not a single hair was found. No one knows where Guan went. I also asked them to investigate the passenger list of those who left Jimbiseta last month. Gan's name is not on it. The successive news caused Sumenjiel's heart to fall straight into the abyss and miss. Upon seeing him, everyone immediately surrounded him. Sister Menjiel, not a single hair was found. No one knows where Guan went. I also asked them to investigate. Jia's name is not on the passenger list of those who left Jimbei last month. Saipe. The bad news, successive events caused Sumenjiel's heart to sink into the abyss. She nervously grabbed her cell phone to call me, but only heard a disconnected tone, and all the messages she sent were rejected. A large number of red exclamation marks. This made her feel dizzy. Her friends had never seen her so distraught. They all began to console her together. Sister MANHWA, cheer up. The person just left. There's still time to look now. Exactly. Locate her cell phone directly. You'll surely find her. Hearing these ideas, Suminial regained some of her sanity. She sent a message to the secretary asking him to investigate everything. An hour passed, as if it were a year. The secretary replied, President Sul, we found Mr. Gunalika's cell phone at the bus station. We are already speeding up the screening of the list of passengers who entered the station. It's not good news, but compared to having no leads at all, it's still much better. Sumengil couldn't stay seated, ignoring her friend's advice, and went straight to the bus station. As soon as she arrived, the secretary handed her a clean cell phone. She typed in the password to unlock it and realized that all her social media accounts had been deleted. Her contacts were also completely erased, leaving only one name, Lucy Murren. The moment she saw that name, Sumengil felt a chill down her spine. She underwent a long period of psychological preparation to finally gather the courage to click. The most recent video was from Lucimian, sent that afternoon. It was inside a car. Seeing that background, Sumengil already imagined the video's content and she didn't dare click and swiped up. In every 3 or 4 videos a day, there was some words mixed in. The feeling of pretending to be an idiot must be unpleasant, right? Guan? And after being so deceived, you can still endure it. Your fiancé cares so much about the past, and you're so cold. If you two really get married, I don't think you'll last 3 months before you get divorced. No. Are you really gonna marry her from January to December for 30 days? That's the only kind of provocation you'll ever see. Sumengil was already blinded by rage, her heart and mind. She only had one thought, to go after Lucinian and settle the score. She sped back home. Immediately she got out. The luggage was there, piled high at the door. Lucinian was ordering some employees to move things. Seeing her return, he immediately rushed towards her. Why did you come back? You still can't live without me, can you? Then kiss me and I'll keep looking at that pretty face so close. Sumengil couldn't take it anymore. She raised her hand and used all her strength to slap him hard. Lucian was knocked to the ground by the blow. His pale face was red and swollen. He raised his head, incredulous. Mengyal, why did you hit me? Sumengil was so angry she couldn't speak. She threw her cell phone at him with a cool glint in her eyes. Lucinian caught the phone. The moment he saw the screen, every hair on his body stood on end and he couldn't help but shiver. In an instant, countless thoughts raced through his head. He began to explain desperately. Mingle, I can explain. Actually, it's about Guan. I already knew you were pretending to be Nizia. I was just confused because I love you so much. These words, to Sumengil at that moment, were like throwing fuel on the fire. She couldn't control her emotions, ordered the guards to lift him and grabbed his neck tightly. The Zubset. The intense feeling of suffocation made Lucinan struggle desperately. His face turned red, then blue, and slowly purple. His eyes, filled with despair, began to widen. He exuded murderous intent just when Lucian thought he was about to be strangled to death. Several friends who arrived late, seeing this scene, turned pale with fear and quickly rushed to save her. Sister Mengyal, calm down. The priority now is finding Gu-san. Yes. He's in our hands. There will be time to settle accounts later. Hearing these words, Sumengil finally stopped. She cast one last glance at the man, lying on the ground, in a cold, distant voice. Take him to Old Du. Look closely at him. Hearing that name, Lucan, who had dazed, suddenly awoke. She crawled to Sumengil, Mao, clinging to her leg, with a pleading tone. Mengyal, no, Sister Mengyal, I've accompanied you for 2 months. Spare me this time. As long as you let me go, I promise I won't bother you anymore. Please. Sumengil was expressionless, and her friends dared not advise her. They dragged her to the car. Lucinia couldn't break free, only watch helplessly. The house gradually receding in the rearview mirror, her desperate cry echoing in the cabin. Everyone's expressions turned cold. If you obey and don't cause trouble, take the money and leave, you will have no worries for the rest of your life. But you know nothing of heaven and earth and insist on provoking Gon. You deserve this end. Be smart and obey Old Du. you can still save your life. Otherwise, with the methods of those people under her command, you can expect to suffer. The plane landed and it was dawn in Melbourne. We rested one night in the reserved hotel, and the next day, with our luggage, we went to the pre-arranged apartment. In the following days, I bought many essential items for life, and the empty room was gradually filled. While unpacking, I contacted my roommate who would arrive in a few days. Slowly, I also adapted to local life, having a good culinary talent. I easily entered the circle of foreign students and made friends with 2 neighboring boys. They helped me find places to shop, suggested some nearby restaurants, and arranged visits to local attractions. After a few days of contact, my excellent photographic skills were recognized by new friends, and I also entered the local photography circle. On the 10th day in Melbourne, I completed my first photography assignment. I looked at the newly $1 and was very pleased. The next morning, the new roommate Zil also arrived, and we quickly became good friends. Time passed day by day, and school was about to start. One day before classes began, I personally cooked a table of dishes and invited some new friends over for dinner. After a month together, everyone's relationship had become much closer, and after a few glasses of wine, we started gossiping together. I don't know who started it, but everyone began complaining about their ex-girlfriends. Zil smiled and casually asked Mukota. Everyone's complained at least once. Brother-san, do you have any secrets to share with everyone? The smile on my face froze. When the first boys shared, they also talked about ex-girlfriends who had cheated. Minigasi. I heard it as a joke, but when the subject really turned to me, I found it a little difficult to say. After so much time, when I thought about Sumenji's name, I truly no longer felt any sadness, but in front of a group of young people 2 or 3 years younger than me who had just graduated and didn't know the world, I didn't know how to begin. After all, 10 years, 7 years of dating, a first love who was about to get married in a month or 2, and I betrayed him. It seems like a very tragic thing, and I don't want to see it. Expressions of pity and sympathy appeared on everyone's faces. Those 10 seconds of silence made Z feel a shared meaning, and she took the initiative to change the subject, not embarrassing me. After eating and drinking enough, Z also approached to apologize. Brother Xian, I didn't do it on purpose. I'm sorry. I knew it was an unintentional slip, and I waved my hand with a smile. After returning to my room, I turned on my cell phone, and my good brother answered in seconds. Xian, why did you go abroad and disappear like smoke? It worried me for a long time. Just looking at the screen, I could imagine her complaining tone right now. I sighed lightly and quickly apologized, letting her know I was fine. The 2 siblings greeted each other, talking about their recent lives, and we chatted until I involuntarily fell asleep. When I woke up the next day, I looked at the 99 messages my brother had sent, and my eyes widened, and analyzing each one, I realized that most were related to Sumengyal. After you left, Sumengyal contacted me every 2 or 3 days to ask about your whereabouts. Don't worry. My mouth remained tightly shut. I didn't reveal a single word. Good thing you went to the station before going to the airport. She still thought you had taken a high-speed train to leave JB and is looking for you. All over the country. I heard Sumengyal has been drinking a lot in bars these days. 2 days ago, she drank so much that she had a stomach hemorrhage and was taken to the hospital. Good for her. She also contacted your parents, but you had already cut off contact with them, so they definitely didn't know anything. Seeing these news related to assuming Mal again, my heart doesn't waver. Looking at the clear river in the distance, my thoughts are many. When I was 12, my parents divorced and started their own families. Neither of them wanted me. They left me with my grandmother who lived alone. When I was 17, my grandmother passed away, and I was the only one left on the family register. When I was 18 and agreed to stay with Suma Amenchu, she promised she would give me a family. I believed her words. I waited for her for 7 years, but what I got was a ridiculous bout of amnesia and the reality of betrayal. Remembering those long 30 days, I still feel a chill. Thankfully, it's all over now. I opened the curtain and the bright sunlight streamed in, dispelling the cold from my body. The alarm clock rang at 8. I changed my clothes, grabbed my bag and a light jacket, and went to school. The welcoming ceremony for the new students was held in the auditorium. I sat among a group of vibrant young people listening to the director's teachings. That feeling of uselessness that always lingered in my heart gradually disappeared. Xian's future had already begun. As soon as Sumengyo woke up, she smelled a strong odor of disinfectant. The side effects of the alcohol were still spreading. Her head was dizzy, her stomach heavy and sour, with a vague pain. She looked around dazed, her chaotic mind gradually returning to normal. The Su family, who were on guard nearby, saw that she had woken up. Although relieved, their faces were still grim because of a man. MANHWA. Do you want to die and live like this? How long will you continue with this? Some friends also approached and began to advise her bitterly. Xian has been gone for a month, without news. She's doing it on purpose. Sister Mengil, forget it. What kind of man can't you find? Why do you have to kill yourself over that tree? These words. Sumengya had heard them countless times in the last month. She never heard them, now she just ignores them. Those red eyes were vacant and lifeless, her lips were tightly closed, and her face turned towards the sky showed only despair. Seeing her self-destructive appearance, Su's mother became furious and finally couldn't contain her anger. You are the only daughter of the Soul family, carrying the future of the Soul group, and you are drowning in childish passions every day. What kind of example is that? I'll tell you one last time, I've already arranged the wedding for you in 5 days. You have to attend. If you're still so foolish, then from now on, don't have the surname Su. Su's mother didn't even look at her. She left, slamming the door, and the room became silent and oppressive, seeing that her friends didn't dare to breathe deeply. Su Engyal leaned against something to sit up. Her voice was hoarse and exhausted. Who did the old lady choose? Zuan, the third son of the Zhu family. Su Mengiel snorted slightly. Mengen, go tell her, my marriage. No one can make my decisions. If she's smart, she should cancel the engagement voluntarily, otherwise, don't blame me for not showing my face to the Zhu family. Just hearing Su Mengiel's tone, her friends knew she definitely wouldn't give up easily, and they could imagine Aunt S, who had been furious a moment ago. They could only advise her with a sour face. Sister Mengel, in this circle, marriage is a business deal. Aunt Su has already given the ultimatum, and the Zhou family isn't easy to deal with either. Why not forget? Yes, the invitations have already been sent. Now the arrow is on the string. Change the groom, even if Xian comes back. Her family isn't compatible. Su Yingyiao hadn't expected some friends who grew up wearing the same pants to say such unpleasant words. Her face turned cold. Instantly, she glared at them. If you say those things again, all of you, get out of here. Su Menjiel's husband will only be a nobody in this life. It doesn't matter if it's a nobody or not. I'm not marrying any of them. Seeing that she hadn't heeded their advice, her friends didn't dare add fuel to the fire and could only shut their mouths and flee quickly. In the hospital room, only Su Menjiel remained. She closed her eyes and countless scenes flashed through her mind. Every day before leaving, I would straighten her clothes and kiss the corner of her lips. When she was sick, I was so worried that I cried incessantly, bringing her soup and hot medicine. The surprises I carefully prepared for her birthdays and the silence of growing old together year after year. All those little details that moved her had now become just unattainable wishes. Looking at the news the secretary had just sent, there was still no news about Guiyan. Su Menjiel's heart, full of scars, ached again. She held tightly to that abandoned cell phone, as if holding on to a last thread of hope. Sister Mengiel, we spoke with Zoan. She said the marriage was decided by her parents. She obeys the elders' wishes and will not cancel the engagement. What should we do? Hearing this, Suan Chishao's heart sank. A trace of cruelty flashed in Guan's eyes as she doesn't know what's good for her, so let's see. Hearing her tone, Gil and the others felt a certain chill in their hearts. There are families, or perhaps it's a prominent family in Jimbe that everyone knows. Brother Mengiel, what do you intend to do? Don't do anything reckless, please. Su Jiao glanced at them and didn't answer. She changed the subject. Where is Lucinian? He and the others had already forgotten about this person. They began to murmur. No, I don't know. We should ask Sister Duka, right? While they were talking, they were about to call Di Rua. Sugia was suppressing her anger and had no air to vent. So she told them to stop planning to go see for herself. She entered the exclusive box. As soon as she sat down, Duli Ru entered with drinks and people. Looking at Su Mengel's face, it was full of flattery. President Su, I brought the person you wanted, she said, pushing forward the person who was hiding behind her, huddled up. Lucinian was as thin as a skeleton. Her exposed arms and thighs bore slightly purple marks. She trembled all over, not daring to lift her head to look at the people. In her voice was a deep fear. Mingjil, Sister Mingjil. A month without seeing each other. The handsome and glamorous heartthrob transforming into this appearance truly surprised the people in the room. Only Sumenjial had no expression. She stared fixedly at the man in front of her, those eyes filled with tears of hatred. In the end, her tone was full of unspeakable memories. The car cabin emitted long honking sounds. If she had known before, why had she done this? Recalling the words spoken in the VIP box 2 months ago. Only then did some people realize that the drunken prank of the time had actually become reality. The second young lady of the Shen family came running back. Going up might still reveal someone's figure. The second young lady of the Shin family came running back. Going up might still reveal someone's figure. But Gusan seemed to have evaporated from the world, disappearing silently. In this last month, her best friends used all the resources of connections they had. They searched everywhere they could imagine. Still without any progress, how could someone not leave a trace under such a wide search? This difficult problem of the century has always lingered in the hearts of some people. A week after entering the school, I slowly integrated into the campus environment, waking up and going to classes punctually every day and discussing academic matters with teachers and colleagues. In my free time, I went out for walks and dinner with 3 or 5 friends. If the previous days were like a sea of hidden currents, so life now is a calm and peaceful life. I am enjoying this rare tranquility and pleasure, and surrendering to it, relaxing my body and mind. On Saturday at noon, Zil and I went for a walk in the park. When we returned, we saw a flood of messages in the chat. Several friends, without planning it, had forwarded me the same link. Upon opening it, I saw the names Suminil and Gusian. After watching the complete wedding scene clip, I was speechless for a while and could only respond with some ellipses, onesies. My good brother also came soon after and sent a long paragraph of insults. What a mess. Sumenjiel. This kind of adulterous and treacherous woman can even be transformed into a saint of love. Who is she trying to fool? If I weren't afraid to expose her whereabouts, I would have unmasked the true face of this bitch so that everyone could see how hypocritical she is, And she still says she won't marry you because of her. It really made me laugh. Zuanshi, the fact that she kicked you out of the house, have you already forgotten that? She will definitely find you. May she roll far away. Being involved with her is really very bad luck. Seeing those comments, I finally remembered what happened that morning, because I felt like something hadn't been done. It turns out today was the wedding I'd skipped. Thinking about it, I couldn't help but laugh. Zil, who was standing next to me, also came closer to see the commotion. Brother Shan, what are you laughing at? I shook my head. It's nothing. My friends are complaining to me about Vibo. Those popular hashtags. That bride who caused the commotion at the wedding. Right. Zil had a vague recollection. I casually mentioned it, opened Vibo and refreshed. Suddenly, a new post was recommended to her. The photo of the male protagonist whom Saminjul had asked out was found. She opened the enlarged image. She was on the verge of showing it to me, but the moment her eyes scanned that slightly bluish identification photo, a look of stunned disbelief washed over her face. She stared at it for a long time, then turned her gaze to my face, perhaps noticing her stare. I raised my head and looked at her. What is it? I hesitated for a moment. Zhu still decided to be honest and direct. Zan, the national media, Oko. Have they found the picture of the guy the bride asked to be her boyfriend? He looks a lot like you. Do you know him? The expression on my face froze. I really don't understand why Sumenjial is making such a fuss. It turns out it's to find my whereabouts. A strange feeling arose in my heart. I looked at the screen Z handed, with slightly furrowed brows. It's my high school ID photo. I don't know who leaked it, although it's been 7 or 8 years, not years. I've changed a bit too, but anyone with eyes can tell it's me. Otherwise, Z wouldn't have asked like that. The room was silent for a moment. I reflected a little and finally decided to admit it. It's me. Suninjial is my ex-girlfriend. After we broke up, I changed my name and went abroad. Hearing this gossip suddenly, Zoe's eyes widened, full of shock. Oh, since you two broke up, well, why is she making all this drama, Whoopi? Isn't this bothering you? I sensed, slightly little helpless. It's going to cause some problems, but I've already gone abroad. Everything should be fine, right? Z's expression was a little solemn. Apparently, she's making such a fuss on purpose. Just to find you. Great. To keep harassing you. This news is causing quite a stir. Maybe someone at school will recognize you. What should we do? This is also the problem that worries me the most. But seeing that Z was genuinely concerned about me, I forced a smile. Don't worry. She doesn't know I changed my name. She probably doesn't know I went abroad. If it really doesn't work out, wear a mask and disguise yourself well when you go out in the next few days. That's the only way. Dill nodded without saying a word and even took off her own hat. Wear it when you go out. It can protect you a little and also protect you from the sun. I agreed. Wanting to lighten the mood, I started joking with her. She's just an ex-girlfriend. You don't need to be so tense. Sumenjil going crazy on such an important occasion. It's obvious she's not a normal person. Lately, I've seen a lot of news about people who hate for love and take revenge on their ex-boyfriends and ex-wives. Shan, I'm worried that you'll be haunted by her. If something happens, hearing a little brother I've known for just over a month worrying so much about me, my heart softened and I held her hand and I held her. I was with her for 7 years. Even though she did many things that were hurtful to me, she shouldn't have been so extreme. Don't worry. Although I said this with a smile, Zil remembered my silence when we talked about my ex-girlfriend a few days ago. She could vaguely guess that this relationship must have caused me great harm. She didn't know how to console me. So using her brain, she could only think of a few words. It will pass, Xian. You've already gotten out of the quagmire. Just look ahead. Looking into her steady eyes. My anxiety slowly subsided. Yes, the 30 most difficult days are over. What else is worth worrying about? The day after the wedding, Suji announced that Sumengial was temporarily suspending all work for the South Group. And the Zhu family also announced that the projects currently in cooperation with Sugia were all terminated. On the very day of my disappearance, Sumengial still hadn't obtained any clue about me. Online rumors about her fan group were spreading, but everyone was discussing past conflicts. No one discovered my whereabouts. Sumenjia's stubbornness in finding me also wore down with the passing of time. She was increasingly reluctant to return to that empty village and no longer wanted to open the messages sent by her secretary. Even now, when she hears the 3 words, "boo," she has a strong reaction and loses her temper. Sugia suspended all her credit cards. The extravagance she had once relied on to fill her empty heart was no longer an option. Several friends also lost patience. They all advised her to give up and reconcile with her family. Senegal lived for 24 years. She was experiencing this kind of hardship for the first time. She drank alcohol all day and broke things when she was drunk. She screamed my name hoarsely and regretted it endlessly, but the alcohol could only temporarily numb her nerves. When she woke up, she faced the grim and desolate reality again. Under the daily torment, she was no longer the energetic person Sumengial used to be that day. Sumengial was drinking alone in a bar, ignoring several calls from Sufu, and finally turned off her cell phone. Iahayo. When midnight struck, she returned to the village drunk and thought of me again. Before, every year, on the eve of the Chinese New Year, she would go home for a family dinner and then come to the village to be with me. I would prepare a table of delicious food and we would both welcome the New Year together, one on the sofa. Together. We would watch the fireworks in the sky and make a wish to stay together year after year. Now the fireworks explode again, but beside her, only wine bottles remain on the floor. Through the window, Sumenjial contemplated the lively scene outside. An infinite loneliness invaded her heart. After midnight, the clock struck. She opened her cell phone and sent me a Happy New Year message, with a ding. The cell phone she placed on the table rang. She picked up my cell phone and clicked on the small red dot. She herself sent a Happy New Year messaging the blessing coming from this Anusolvis familia, avatar datarsa the pain in Suenju. Finally found some relief. Now she can only console herself with this self-directed and self-interpreted greeting. In the moment of greatest anguish, suddenly someone brought news of me. A confidant from the circle who studied in Melbourne mentioned at a table of drinks that she saw someone at school who looked very much like Guan. This news cheered Suenjial up. She booked a ticket to Melbourne directly. She was about to leave. Several confidants stopped her. Sister Suenjial, the person has been found and will not escape. The priority now is Lucinian. If this matter isn't resolved, how will Gusan forgive you? One word woke the dreamer. Susumanjal's heart, which had relaxed a little, tightened again. She suppressed the ecstasy in her heart. She forced herself to calm down. Several confidants were giving her ideas. She listened. None of them were helpful. In the end, she decided to resolve it herself. Sumanjal went straight to the hospital. She was prepared to resolve Lucinian this time completely. 30 minutes later, she watched Lucinian dying. She called the bodyguards outside. She was prepared to let Lucinian die in agony. Sumanjal stood up and slowly wiped the blood from her hands with an indifferent expression, as if this whole chaotic scene had nothing to do with her. After wiping, Sumanjal checked her pulse, looked at the time, and lifted her leg to leave. As soon as she took a step, a piercing pain shot from her abdomen. She slowly fell to her knees. During the pain and glancing sideways, she saw Lucenia dying, completely insane. She took the fruit knife that had been stuck in her heart and plunged it into her body. Blood spurted, enveloping her figure in a vivid red. The strong smell of blood in the air stimulated her nerves. In her eyes, she could only see the face of the one who had destroyed her life. Ugly woman, this is your last and only chance for revenge. Lucan sobbed for a moment. He raised the knife and stabbed Sumanjal, caring nothing for anything. One desperate scream after another echoed throughout the room, with a high-pitched cry. Gradually, it evolved into a moan. In the end, only the sound of labored breathing remained in her throat. Sumanjal's pupils slowly dilated. Her clenched fist did not relax even slightly. Lucinian also exhausted all her strength. The murder weapon in her hand fell to the floor. The blood that flowed from their bodies mingled, seeping along the smooth floor. Like a dark red river, the second hand on the wall still ticked away. Sumanjal's consciousness gradually became hazy. The excruciating pain also gradually lessened. She felt as if she were falling into a cloud. The scene before her gradually became jagged. Only black and white images remained, flashing alternately. The past vanished like a galloping horse, repeating in her mind. Carefree childhood, to the adolescence of first love, to the present moment of punishment and chastisement. In each scene, in black and white, only one person had color. Me at 16, wearing a white dress, silently playing the piano. Me at 18, who, standing in front of her bed, crying copiously, holding her hand tightly. Me at 23, with tears in my eyes, receiving that bouquet of red roses and agreeing to become her partner. Me at 24, holding an umbrella. I stepped into the torrential rain and could no longer see any expression on her face, staring at that gradually blurring figure. The taut rope around Sumanjal's body snapped in two. She felt something being pulled from her body. She was so reluctant to let it go, but powerless to stop its disappearance. She could feel the blood beneath her skin gradually growing cold and coagulated. Only one tear remained falling from the corner of her eye. The last gentle time, the first time celebrating the new year in the deep autumn. Zhao and I felt good. Zoeil's parents had brought many things from China. The two of them were in the living room pasting couplets and paper decorations on the windows, seeing the house filled with festive joy. More than 10 years later, I finally felt the atmosphere of the new year again. Since my grandmother passed away, I have always spent the spring festival alone. Although Sumanjal comes to keep me company, usually in the evening, before 8 p.m. It's just me at home. What I feel is only loneliness, intensely contrasted by the outside bustle. I thought that after getting married in the new year, I would be able to change this situation, but I didn't expect that the wedding wouldn't happen and that I would already be spending the new year with someone. Zal's mother, busy in the kitchen, brought a plate of fried meatballs, smiling and asking me to taste them. Her tone was full of concern and affection. Zan, this is Xil's favorite dish. This new year was the warmest I had spent in many years. For the next 2 years, I spent them in Australia. Every year, Zilu's parents came to celebrate together. With the time we spent together, our relationship became increasingly intimate. In the year of graduation, the Z family settled in Melbourne. Zil asked me if I had plans to stay. I also thought a lot about this question. My good friends in the country had already married and started families, and I had already lost contact with my parents. I also didn't have any property. In terms of interpersonal relationships, the Zal family helped me a lot, allowing me to overcome difficulties. During my studies, I relied on my excellent abilities. I saved a lot of money. Then, after graduating, I opened a small photography studio. Over the next 2 years, the studio scale continued to expand and gradually gained momentum. After 4 years, I fulfilled the immigration requirements and applied for a permanent residence permit. I returned to China to complete the procedures and met up with friends I hadn't seen in a long time. Before leaving this year, time flies. Everyone is no longer like teenagers, but since we get together, we can still find the feeling we used to have when we talked about everything. What worries everyone most? My emotional problems. Despite everyone's enthusiasm for gossip, I behaved very sincerely and generously. I had 2 boyfriends in the last 2 years, but they later broke up one after the other for various reasons. My current girlfriend has been with me since August of last year. She is 2 years younger than me, but her personality is very mature. While I talk about my daily love life, I send photos and videos to everyone, looking at the screen, looking very well matched. The loving appearance of the 2 of us, everyone showed expressions of satisfaction. After chatting for a while, someone suddenly mentioned Sumenjal. Did you hear? It seems Sumenjal died. Hearing this, my heart trembled. These past years, I've been busy with my studies and work. I rarely inquired about things in the country. From time to time, when I spoke with Zil about the past, I always had the feeling that time was in a way shrouded in a thick mist. I couldn't see clearly. And the name Sumenjal was like an old frozen photograph, with a layer of yellowing and antiquity. I thought she would gradually let go of this feeling, inherit the family business, and start a new life on the distant other side of the ocean. But I didn't expect she had already passed away. The atmosphere in the room grew cold a moment, and several people carefully observed my emotions. Seeing that I was merely shocked, everyone was relieved and began to chat. I heard about it too, Zan. I wanted to tell you, but then I thought you'd already gotten over it, so I didn't mention this sad thing. What sad thing? I heard that she seems to have tortured that man, last name Lu, enough to be avenged and die along with him. It could also be considered reaping what she sowed. It's been so long, I can't remember what that man's name was, Lu. My only impression of that person is just that. The car accident that almost destroyed me. Then, to hear that these 2 have completely changed. The fate of these people in my life, my heart is more or less aching. Even if there was personal hatred, it was only for a brief moment. After all, these are people and things from a long time ago. Like dust, a breeze blows it away and leaves no trace.